I'm going to dye this synthetic wig blue, but as a gradient. For the first step, I'm going to pin my wig onto my styro head, and then I'll be able to prepare the wig for the way I'm going to dip it into my dye. I want to get a faded look, and so if you think about it, I'm going to dip the wig in and then be pulling it out slowly. So I want to do this upside down rather than putting the whole wig in, and I feel like preparing this wig a little bit will help that process go a little bit more smoothly. So I'm going to braid it. I'm being careful to pin the lace of the wig onto the styrofoam head. I'm going to pin it all the way around so that I can then flip this head over and braid it. I'm going to do a French braid from the base of the neck over the crown of the head. So it's going to be kind of like the opposite direction of a normal braid. The idea here is that I'm going to use that braid as kind of a way to lift the wig up and down as I dye it. So to get ready for the braid, I am gently brushing this out to help be able to take up pieces and sections of hair. So now everything is brushed out upside down. I'm starting at the base of the neck of the wig, and I'm just gonna do a typical French braid. You can start to see how this is a backwards braid because I'm working from the base of the wig up over to the top and towards the front of the wig. So working in sections towards the crown and braiding as I go, I've got the braid that's going to hold the hair up in the opposite direction of how it will be worn. So I've brushed everything out the opposite way, and so that I can dye this and get the effect that I want to make the roots darker but keep the ends light. Finishing this off with a little braid and tying it off. That's kind of a pretty style, just as it is, to loop that around like that. It's looking really good. All right, let's go dye the wig. First, I get my wig damp with some cool water. And now I'm going to add my dye to my boiling water. I'm going to turn the heat down on this a little and just let it simmer instead of this rolling boil. For this wig, I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon of dye at a time and then letting my wig soak for about 2 minutes in between each increase in concentration. So the pattern is I add a tablespoon of dye, stir it with my spoon, and then I add the wig in for about 2 minutes. It's really helpful to transfer the wig to and from my dye pot using a bucket. I'm using good amount of caution here, and I kept the tail, the very end of the wig dry, so this is very cool for me to hold on to. Since I want to keep that very end the original light color of the wig, that allows me to just keep it out of the increasing concentration here. So I've used a series of 3 dyes, and now we're getting into the darker shades. The first one was the Dyemore Kentucky Sky, then moving to Sapphire Blue, and then Midnight Navy. I used a lot of Kentucky Sky, probably about half of a bottle, and then I used about 1/3 of a bottle of Sapphire Blue, and I used only 2 tablespoons of Midnight Navy. As the color increases in these darker concentrations, I could really tell a difference quickly in how they were taking onto the wig faster. So total, it took me probably about 25 minutes to dye the wig from start to finish. Adding more dye, putting the wig back in the pot, back and forth until I got the color concentration and the fade I was wanting. Now it's time to rinse the wig. I've got cool water here and I'm letting it run clear to get most of the extra dye off. And now I'm adding some soap to give it a good scrub to get any of the extra pigmentation off of the wig. This will help it to keep it from transferring onto other materials. And so I'll give a good wash and get all the suds out. I'm going to let this drip dry a little bit, and then I'm going to transfer it to some paper towels to dry it a little bit more. I'm going to take out the hair tie and remove the braid. This is kind of the moment of truth where I'm going to see how the dye took to the braided areas. And just about now you can see I get really excited. I am extremely pleased with the highlight results. I've got this braid out and you can see that we've got layers of color. It looks very messy right now, but it's still very wet. I'm going to use a towel to gently pat, and then I'm going to flip over the whole thing and roll it gently to get out a little bit more moisture. From there, it's just allowing this to dry with a gentle fan on it. Amazing. I am very pleased.